Crouch. Bind. Set.
Joe presents the House of Rugby, together with Guinness.
Hello everybody, Happy New Year and welcome once again to the latest edition of House of Rugby, brought to you by Joe, together with our increasingly good friends at Guinness. It is good to be back. It's a delight to welcome the one and only Mr. Nicholas Easter. How are you?
A little bit tired, Alex.
Because?
A little bit tired. Not because of just being completely drunken over the festive period. But, I am now a father. As of Christmas Day morning. Would you believe it?
Happy Christmas.
An Easter born on Christmas Day. Well delivered by St. Nicholas.
Stop it. It's all come together quite beautifully.
Just there, isn't it?
How is the little man, and what are we calling him? What did he weigh in at?
His name's Jacob, weighed in at £8.5.
Strong.
Yeah, strong and healthy, and fully enjoying it at the moment, but I'm sure the novelty of the winding, the nappy changing,
I can tell you
he's going to wear off
pretty damn quickly.
Probably in about half an hour, actually.
How's your lovely wife as well? She's all right?
She's good.
Are you looking after her, or is she back to work?
Of course I am. You know me, Alex.
Good, yeah.
No. She's got a year off work. Fully deserved.
Just before we started recording, he texted and said, put the dinner, I'll be home in an hour. Yeah. So, you know, some things don't change.
Exactly. Thinking about her, aren't I?
Very good. Welcome along.
Show of your professionalism as well, obviously.
Yeah, true. Welcome along, Mr. Rob Vickerman. New Year's resolutions this year?
Oh, resolutions, revolutions.
Strong.
You're probably father first, friend second, entertainer third, maybe.
Yeah.
Throw that in there. But it's, I don't know, I don't really do them, to be honest.
Right.
It's one of those.
Easier not to break them.
Exactly, yeah.
Good.
Usually gone by, what, 10 days?
Yeah.
They go out the window pretty quick, don't they?
Have you laid your name to anything strong? A better man? Healthier lifestyle?
Just take each day as it comes.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Exactly. Just take each day as it comes. You never know what's around the corner.
That is very true. It is great to have you both here. Thank you very much indeed for making it in. One or two of our regular viewers and listeners may well be wondering, where the hell is James Haskell as we start a new year? It's a very good question, and it's one that we're all asking ourselves as well. Have a little look at this.
Hello and Happy New Year to everybody at House of Rugby and all of our special fans. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be in this week's episode. I'm not having an operation. I'm not ill. I may have got the day wrong of when we were supposed to be filming the episode. We always film on a Tuesday. Nobody told me. Well, they say they told me. They might have sent a message, but when you're International Man of Mystery, it's very difficult to keep track of what day it is. And especially as I don't get bank holidays or special days off. We have to train. I was training on New Year's Day. So I was standing outside the stadium last night waiting to get a taxi to take me to London, which never turned up because they're recording the show tonight. So I'm very sorry that I won't be there. I apologise to everyone. I can't believe I'm not going to be there to get heat about my Hello magazine and all the other rugby nosing. But don't worry, I'll be back next week. It'll be business as usual. I'm sorry about the boring chat you're going to get, but things will pick up next week. I love you. And Simon, the producer, this is your fault.
It is not Simon the producer's fault. He's actually come armed with about 14 texts saying we're not recording on the Tuesday after New Year, we're recording on the Wednesday. And Haskell is not an international man of mystery. He is an idiot. Is that a fair assumption?
He's running scared, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
He's running scared.
He knew that you would crush him with your wisdom and intellect. Does that dovetail with what you know of Hask? The inability, the man baby's inability to get himself from the right place at the right time.
No, to be honest, I'll be fair to him. He's usually quite efficient with that, but he does tend to occupy his schedule, you know, quite manically, doesn't he? So something like that wouldn't surprise me.
I love the fact that he is releasing books and podcasts on self-betterment and how to be a better person,
and no one's listening or reading them.
No one's listening or reading them, and he can't get himself to the right place at the right time, which would be a fairly good place to start if you're looking for some self-betterment and a New Year's resolution, perhaps.
Yeah, can we not get Chloe instead? That might be a bit more.
Yeah.
Yes, that's a very good recommendation.
Cooking in the background as well while he's just doing his little filming. What is he doing?
He's an idiot.
Well, he's probably under thumb now, isn't he? That's why he's doing it.
I know.
He's not even
so
allowed
wondering
out
if there's
for
a get-out clause for her, actually. If he can't organise himself in the way that perhaps she's expecting, perhaps there's a sort of a 30-day returns policy off the back of their nuptials. We will go through his Hello edition if he ever manages to get himself into the right place at the right time, and that is something that I'm very much looking forward to. I don't suppose you're a Hello reader.
No, I've no idea.
No, I'm not.
He made out on that as if everyone would be reading it and know about it. No idea, mate.
No.
The hospital mag maybe, but they're about 3 years out usually, don't they?
Yeah, they are, exactly. So
park it.
Have to get ill in 3 years' time.
Enough. We will leave Hask there. I'd love to say we're going to miss him, but actually I'm very excited about some of the topics that we're going to get into on the show this week. First up, It's meant to be the season of good tidings and goodwill toward all men. Obviously not in the Premiership over the course of the last few days. And on this week's show, we're going to be discussing the Steve Diamond, the Sale Director of Rugby, and Sam Peters, the journalist, the fallout between the two of them. We'll look at the relationship between the players and the media. Looking forward to getting your take on that. You've had one or two run-ins along the years. We'll discuss Mike Brown's comments, hopefully, about the lack of protection for players, and we'll ask whether Rob Baxter's got a point about Christmas parties after Exeter's loss to the Saints as well. But we are going to start with a big topic that seems to be sort of dominating the back pages, and it sort of seems to have crossed out of rugby into other sports as well. The astonishing scenes at Kingsholm, I'm sure most of you have picked up on it, at the weekend, where the Sale Director of Rugby, Steve Diamond, confronted the journalist Sam Peters in the press room after the game about an article that Peters had written earlier in the season, which called Diamond an intimidating man, running an intimidating atmosphere, and he was a director of rugby who ignored medical advice when it came to dealing with injuries. In the melee that ensued at Kingsholm, Peters called Diamond a bully before Diamond offered Peters outside. It's a hell of a mess, the whole thing, really. Sam Peters has subsequently said he's not going to take it any further. Steve Diamond's come out and said, you know, I run an establishment where players have to buy in, and if that's bullying, well, you know, I think he sort of parked it way away from that. Have you read about this? Have you watched the clip?
I've watched the sort of footage, about 30, 40 seconds. You know, it's quite unsavoury, isn't it? And I think, you know, both will probably regret it a little bit. But I actually, I think it sort of just adds a little bit of flavour to stuff, doesn't it? Let's be honest. Nowadays, you know, everyone's giving the PC answers. They're all media trained. You don't actually really get a headline. Now, this is taking it a little bit too far, isn't it, when you're confronting a journalist about something he wrote 3 months ago. But clearly it was, you know, it got his goat, didn't it? Yeah. Steve Diamond, and he's sort of waiting for Sale to hit a little bit of form, of which they've certainly done that. I think it's the first time they've crossed paths, and he actually just wanted to challenge him on it. And look, the media are very, very powerful in the world of sport. Well, in the world of sport, and it's probably not the best way to go about it. But he wears his heart on his sleeve, Dimes. And
do you know him well?
I know him from, you know, whenever I've come across him for early on in my playing days. When I come across him, he was always a very in-your-face sort of character. Yeah, and I liked having a little bit of that old school. You know, I've never been in an environment that he's worked under, but I know, you know, two guys that I worked with very recently in the Curry Cup in South Africa, the Dupree boys. Yeah, love it there, and love the way it operates. Yeah. You know, it's no nonsense, it's honest, it's up front. Get on and do the hard work. You'll get the rewards, and you'll be in favour. And you know, for me, that's, you know, what rugby and sport's all about. Yeah. And so, as far as this incident, yeah, look, it's a little bit tacky. I bet they both wish it hadn't happened, but it has. But I just think it adds a little bit of flavour to, you know, a discussion point, if nothing else. And you know, we don't want it to happen
every week.
Every week, yeah, exactly. But sometimes, you know, the truth actually comes out. The amount of times people are talking to the media and they're holding back and they're holding back and they're holding back. Well, there was no holding back this week.
It was probably.
And you get a few fireworks.
Yeah. It's worth actually broadening the context of this because, and in the interest of transparency, I was actually at university with Sam Peters many, many years ago. And no, to say hello to and to talk rugby with, and not much more than that. But he is not a person who has, I don't think, personal agendas. What his strong agenda is around HIA's concussion in sport. And anyone who's followed rugby will know that Sam has written very passionately, very diligently, and with great sort of authority, and has raised the significant issue of concussion in rugby with great passion. That is what has led him to write this very critical article of Diamond 2 months ago, whatever it was, around concussion, particularly at Sale. And there's a player there who's suing the club. Yeah, Kian, for his name.
Willis.
Killian Willis. That's it. I beg your pardon.
For the mistreatment of concussions. Yeah,
and that is where this has all spiralled from. So when Peters then went absolutely hell for leather at Steve Diamond, is it inevitable that there's going to be a reaction, or in this day and age, has Steve Diamond got to bite the lip and ignore it?
It's really interesting and strange to say. I was in that press room the week before that Peters article came out in Sale in September, and one of the strange comments I did hear when asked to Steve Diamond about why Ben wasn't playing in terms of the change of the squad, the Curry brothers. Yeah, he said, "Well, he opened his mouth, didn't he?" And just thinking those little one-off comments, you're putting yourself out there and exposing yourself to a world who are listening to every single word you're saying. Yeah. Now, the article that was written was absolutely right in terms of pulling out that Steve Diamond is an old-school coach. but that's what sometimes you need to be.
Yeah.
So when he's going to go out there and put himself in front of the media, and you know, when he is at games, he is so loud and so aggressive from the sideline that I, as a reporter for radio, whatever, you can hear everything he's saying. He's effing and blinding. It's pretty loud. A few people in front always kind of turn around and check it. So he's put himself out there to be exposed to it. The way it's happened has been a real mess, hasn't it? That's what's making a few people a little bit frustrated about it, because it's very public now that social media is so prevalent. You see these little 30, 40-second clips, and that's what you're gauging your opinion on, not knowing there may well be, you know, months preceding that.
Yeah.
So Diamond's one of these characters. I think rugby's better for having people like that.
Yep.
I think his ways are old school, but put yourself in his position. That until like the last 2 years, he can now get pulled up on HIAs and people having opinion on his decisions as a manager and as a coach, which you'll know about now, that previously he never would have had. He was a closed shop at training. He could do what he wants. And now suddenly there's people podcasting about it, you know, the Times journalists themselves going on air and talking about it. You're thinking this is a whole level of scrutiny that he has never, ever been subject to.
So has he failed to move with the times?
I think a little bit, but you don't necessarily
is that
want to
ultimately
change.
the biggest accusation here? Is that, and you've both referenced old school already,
Yeah.
the speed with which society in general is moving right now.
Yeah, and it's
You've
not
got to
just
keep up.
in the Prem. You look across the board of DORs, you know, the average age has been around about 55.
Yeah.
They're all from that era. Your Dean Richards, same type of character. When he gets in that room where he kind of commands his stance, you listen to him, and that's how they handle the press, it's how they always have. But what they're now not necessarily able to deal with is how they're then scrutinised in a very different way, trial by social media, which how many DORs are actually on
Warren
social
Gatlin says, well, he's at a similar age. He said, any advice for your new, you know, the guy, Wayne Pivot coming in, your successor, and he says, yeah, handle the media better than I did. Gatlin's had a fantastic career, and he'll be remembered for it, you know, whatever he does this year. But he understands now, and as you correctly say, you know, moving with the times, you've got to, literally, it moves on so fast, you know, day by day.
But do you need old school in order to be successful in rugby specifically?
No, I think you've got to be true to yourself. You know, if you're the head guy, well, if you're any person in the organisation, I think it's just important that you're true to yourself and your own values. And you know, clearly, you know, he has old school values, as Dean Richards does, as Rob Baxter does, actually. From the,
Richard Cockrell.
Richard Cockrell, all very, very successful men, and they're true to that. But you have to have that human element, and you have to understand how society's changed, how these guys coming through now are changed, how you talk to them, how you give them confidence, put them under pressure, you know, sort of carrot and stick, they're getting that balance right. You know, you have to understand that human element. You can't just sort of have your head in the stand and say, well, this worked 15 years ago, it's going to work now. Yeah. Because it might not.
I think it's really intriguing on that, because when you mention that, the director of rugby I've had, who are a bit old school, if you like, to use that term again, you're almost really wanting that encouragement and praise from them, whereas if they are the arms round and you kind of Jurgen Klopp's getting to know you as a person, sometimes you lose that little bit of real enthusiasm to try and impress them. We had one, Jimmy Lowe's, ex-rugby league guy. He was one of the strangest blokes.
Yeah, I remember Bradford, wasn't he?
Yeah, proper hard bloke. And he would dismiss everyone. He'd take the piss all the time. Like, it would come across as the moodiest man in the world. And suddenly he'd say to you, well, that was pretty good, that. And you're like, oh, it is, Jimmy. I think you get like real up in and your whole squad are motivated by that. It's a different way of managing people. And the time it clashes is when this new generation are coming through, who are a little bit mollycobbled, and put their hands up and say that they are of that kind of snowflake generation. Yeah. But it works, doesn't it? Like, people are re-signing at Sale, knowing exactly how Steve Dimes is, because there's no edge to him. You know what he's going to be like. They can't work him out. They don't want to work him out.
The other point in Diamonds, he sort of came out with a defence in the media and has spoken to some journalists, is that he has done a lot for the likes of Danny Cipriani, James O'Connor, a number of other players who've sort of arrived at Sale as damaged goods, and he's restored them. And I'd be interested to know sort of your view on how he does that. Is he capable of the arm around the shoulder?
Well, I don't know Steve Diamond's background or anything, but certainly comes across that, you know, he's been there and done it. Not just in rugby, but in life. And I think they appreciate that. And they know this guy's got life experience as well. And they're giving him a chance, giving him a second chance. They allow him to thrive. They allow them to run, you know, Danny Cipriani running the show, James O'Connor, show us what you got.
Yeah.
Whereas sometimes those guys go into the environment, it's like, you've got to fit in here.
Yeah.
And this is part of the balance of coaching, is it's not always going to be like that. I always go back to the 99 treble-winning Alex Ferguson team when it was at Sheringham and Cole never spoke to each other.
Yeah.
Everyone remembers that.
Yeah.
But flipping hell, they played well all the time and they knew what they had to do for the team, because if they didn't, someone like Roy Keane or Schmeichel or whoever it was would make sure that they knew that they weren't. And it's all about getting that balance and that chemistry right. You're not always going to get on. They're not all your best mates, despite what people think. But it's actually, you tell you what, you produce your strengths for me and I will back you all the way.
The point that Rob was making about arm around the shoulder or friction with the coach, which did you prefer?
Oh, I prefer the coaches, to be honest, mate.
And who was the most honest with you?
I just say to him, every time I walked in on a Monday, I said, don't tell me what I'm doing well, tell me what I'm not, and tell me what I need to get better at.
Yeah.
That's all I'd want to.
Who was the best at that you played under?
Dino was good. He didn't say much, Dino. But if there was a problem, you know, you knew about it, basically.
Right. And you knew about it because
he'd
tell you direct?
Yeah,
no,
he would tell you direct. He
right.
would tell you direct.
Yeah.
Or through the coaches or whatever it was.
And would that be in a public environment or a quiet word on the side of the training pitch?
Quiet word.
Yeah.
He was more of a sort of quiet word one-on-one. As far as I was concerned, you know, it was brought up, same as Rob. You know, if it was in a public environment, it was in a public environment. But now that is a big sort of, not no, but I mean, people say it's belittling. It's not belittling. It's like, right, lads, look, this is actually what I want you to do. This is what's expected of you. And you know, if the individual's pulled up or whatever, then you know, he's got to man up, hasn't he? He's got to strap a pair on. And I think it has a little bit to do with the upbringing and, you know, the generation coming through that everyone always talks about, the millennial generation, but it's also the environment you create.
Yeah.
And I think actually the way it's going now is senior players are the ones to call the other players out in front of a group a little bit more than the coaches are, because you know, the coaches are under scrutiny all the time in terms of that, and you can quickly lose a dressing room that way. If you look at Jose Mourinho, but Jose Mourinho's a lot more old school than Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola, some of these young coaches coming through. Yeah. And his methods now, you know, he's apparently lost a dressing room at Man United, but the guys that liked him were guys that had him at Chelsea. Because they understood him, they'd seen the success with him, whereas these other guys couldn't.
So as you start out on your coaching career, are you conscious of what you're discussing here? And are you worried that you're an old school player with old school values, that actually you're going to have to modernise as you go?
Yeah, of course.
And is that something you're being helped with, or?
Yes, yeah. You know, you're getting advice. I've got coaching mentors, a life mentor as well, about that, about sort of leadership and, you know, how you deal with people. But that's what I love about coaching. Yeah. You know, I love the tactics and technical stuff of it. Yeah. Always have, but anyone can do that. It's about getting that balance right also with the people management. And I just love seeing what makes people tick, what gets them motivated. And there are, you know, we you know, not slagging them off, are we? But we're sort of saying, all right, it is, you know, a generation that wants to be told how good they are all the time. Yeah. But there are a few that don't like that. You know, they want to be, I mean, Marcus Smith at Quins, for example, what a tremendous guy. That guy keeps his head the way it is now. He's going to fly, you know, as well as all the talent he's got. Because he just wants to get better and better. He is the most self-critical of himself. Doesn't matter how much you know, he didn't get bollocked last year because he was our best player, but it doesn't matter how much bollocking he would get in front of the group, he would be harsher on himself.
Wow.
So
do you have to pump up his tyres and keep him afloat?
Yeah, well, not really, because he knows
he's got it all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But you know, there are players actually who are 20, 21, you know, not sort of 30, who might have missed that generation, who are, that's instilled in them. You know, self-improvement, wanting to get better, self-critique, if you like. But you know, you want to keep a positive vibe there. You want people to turn up. You want people to enjoy it and everything. But it's the balance, isn't it? You're going to enjoy it, not if everything's great. You're going to enjoy it if you're setting high standards and you're achieving those high standards, because that's what you're in the game for. You're in the game to improve. You know, play for England, play for the British Lions, whatever it might be, win championships. You're only going to do that if you feel you're improving in the, you know, at the training ground. Yeah. So it's one thing saying, oh, that's tremendous, Johnny, that's tremendous this, like this, when actually it's crap. Yeah. Because that's just dishonest. And I think players see straight through that. It doesn't matter what generation you're from, they'll see straight through dishonesty. Yeah. So
here's a question. Are you less old school in your coaching tracksuit than you set yourself out in life, where it's cigars, having won the Premiership final, and the minty caricature.
But mate, I think you've just got to enjoy it along the way, because it can be taken away from you pretty quick. There's a lot of lows in sport, in rugby, and you play for the highs. You play for winning trophies. There's big big European nights out, whatever it might be. That's what you play the game for. And I think when you achieve that, you have to enjoy it. But after that, you knuckle down for the rest of the week. You're as professional as you can be, and you try and get the best out of yourself, because it's pretty short. I had a long career. I retired on my own terms, didn't get injured, hardly missed a game. The most games I missed was like 5 in a row, one season. That was it.
With what?
Neck injury. I just had neck injury. Just needed a bit of rest.
Just needed a bit of a holiday.
Just needed to laugh it off after a while. A few beers and just laugh it off. But I was very lucky, but I still miss it. And I go, God, that was quick. And I had like 16 years. And I still think, God, that went quickly. And I was very lucky, yeah.
I'd say we did move away from there, which is really intriguing. I used to love reading your quotes to the media. Largely because...
You have to remind me.
Well, some absolute priceless lines. I'd like to thank the press from the heart of my bottom.
That was Faldo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was that 07?
That was, that's right. That's 07 quarter-final Australia. And I think the week before, or 2 weeks before, there was something on... Do you remember the ESPN? Am I allowed to mention that?
Yeah, you can mention whoever you like.
Had
an open book.
They had that channel that had come out.
Classic.
The classics, old games and all that sort of stuff. And it was obviously when Faldo won the Open, and he said that. It just stuck in my head. And I'd seen it come. He goes, I'd like to thank the press from the heart of my bottom.
Very good.
And we were getting ridiculed, probably. And Will Greenwood said to me, because he was at Quins at the time, and he said, what about that quote afterwards? And he says, do you not think it was fair? I said, well, it was fair after we got dished up by South Africa in the group stage. But no one gave us credit for where we'd, how we'd beaten Samoa and Tonga, who were, tough opposition then. And how we had got through those games, and we'd changed the way we were playing and everything, and just written us off completely, along with the Aussie CEO, which helped. And I just thought the time was right. My dad didn't. He just said, you're an idiot.
But you backed it up the week later as well, though.
So, yeah.
What was your relationship like with the media?
Oh, I like Gordon Millwood.
Did you see it as a game? Was it a duty, or was it something actually? It's a bit of fun, and actually, to be at the top level of the game comes with a profile. I'm happy to play to the profile.
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it at all. Actually, as I said, I just want to be straight up front and honest with people. To a degree, you can't give away certain secrets and things like that are going on within your team, or true. You understand where the media is getting. So if they ask you about a player, you know exactly what to withhold. Yeah. Didn't need any. Don't need media training for that. You just need a bit of savvy, don't you?
Did you have any journos in your speed dial?
Yeah.
Did you?
No, not speed dial. No.
But did you have journos who would ask you for a favour?
Yeah, there's regular, 2 or 3 of them will always ask me for a quote, or can I give you a call about the latest experience, or what's happening, maybe the Steve Diamond thing or whatever like that, and I'm happy to oblige. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, they've got to make a living as well.
Yeah. Although when you start talking about
bad publicity,
writing off New Zealand but in South Africa, you're going to get some column inches for that one, aren't you?
What's that?
You put out a line with the South African press about, New Zealanders, they're probably not going to win it. And then the whole South African press were like, Nick Easter, ex-England player, writes off New Zealand.
Was that recently while you were down there?
It's probably like, not too long ago,
All right.
Do you stand by that?
What's that? Win the World Cup?
You were saying New Zealand probably won't go as well as they should, and then the South African press were like, you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah. We'll see. But clearly that was my view at the time. And
after 5 pints,
all they wanted to hear is what I was paid to say.
Exactly.
What about your relationship, Rob, with the media and stuff? Did you have highs and lows, particularly on the Sevens circuit, where you're away for a long time? I don't know how intense the press pack is in that element.
There's not really. I mean, when you play the home tournaments, you tend to get a bit more. I think the most intriguing thing about my kind of insight is the fact that I'm now on the other side.
Yeah, you crossed over.
So my first few interviews were Steve Diamond at AJ Bell in the little box room. Terribly.
Talking about him. Because?
Just general aura of the bloke. Quite intimidating. You're in basically a 3 foot by 4 foot room with a massive light and a huge camera panning on him, and he knows exactly what you're going to ask, and I know exactly what I'm going to ask, and I got to ask it about an underperformance or a certain issue, and he gave 2-word answers and walked off in his second answer. So I'm like, right, okay then, didn't go too well. Then you get a John Kingston who had did it when you played up in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
And you can talk to him for half an hour about it. He's absolutely...
Win or lose.
Yeah, he's just a real open and honest bloke about it, and knows his rugby as well. That comes across. So for me, it's really intriguing how you don't necessarily know when you're being asked the questions, how much preparation, how much insight is coming through by the person asking them. So you've got 5 voices in your ear. You've got like an editorial you've got to stick to. You've got to ask 3 questions, of which you're getting told, right, no more time for this answer. You don't really listen to a lot of what they're saying, yet you've got to pick up that ability to, you know, get the hook of the line and then maybe probe a bit further. But with only 3 questions, it's difficult. Yeah. So I don't respect it enough as a player, definitely not. And I don't think some coaches do either.
But the journalists can look at it from the same point as we're talking about coaches. It's psychology of the matter. You know, I'm not sure if it would work, but if you know, Steve Diamond, as you say, you know, is difficult with you. If you went in there and didn't ask him the sort of, you know, regular questions, but you just sort of asked him, which nightclub do the boys like to go to? Or where, you know, when you were playing, or
got to push
like
the boundaries.
Is sort of get into his head and not befriend him, but get on that sort of terms. So later down the line, you might extract a little bit more out of him.
Yeah, no, it's intriguing and different doing live TV, where you have only got that certain window, to the press room, which is completely different atmosphere. You can have a chat, and that's where you do get to know a little bit more, which is why it was intriguing that you get, I think there were 7 or 8 journalists when I did Sale back in September. Sam Peters was in there as well. It's a really different environment. You know, it's so laid back, very conversational. You're building that rapport. So it's very different to TV, which can be quite intense, I guess.
But it's moved on a lot, hasn't it? Because, you know, the on-pitch interviews with the players before a game, at half-time, you know, directors of rugby being interviewed before a game, after a game, during a game. Yeah, they bring out the mics during a game, don't they? And then afterwards in the bar or whatever it is. That's what appeared in the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. That's it.
It's definitely not as intense as it was, I think, in terms of the interviews, and it's more insight than analysis, I think. But it could be seen by, you know, guys like Dean Richards, guys that have been around for a long, long time in the English game, been director of rugby for a long, long time, as actually this is just not intrusive, but it's just, you know, an obstacle to overcome to getting a job done. Yeah. It's an irritant. Yes.
Do you know what I mean? If it's done at the wrong time, that's where I see them thinking about it sometimes.
I can completely see that.
They've not been brought up, whereas director of rugby is now coming in. You know, they've been brought up. You know, they understand the media, media training, how important it is as a, you know, part of the match day build-up or whatever it might be. Whereas before director of rugby, they probably had their day on a Tuesday, which, to be honest, was always only the top teams.
Cup of tea and a biscuit.
It was only the top teams, wasn't it? The day on a Tuesday or the Thursday, whenever it was, down at the club, if you were a club director of rugby. Yeah. And then if it was a live game, and there was only like one live game back in the day.
Yeah.
And so those guys probably still see it as a little bit of, oh God, I've got to tick this box and get rid of it. And it comes across that way.
Yeah.
The elephant in the room here is not asking you, Mr. 15 years of broadcasting, do you think it's changed in how it comes across?
I think it's changed hugely. I mean, it was funny you talk about Steve Diamond. I got absolutely steamrolled by Steve Diamond as a 25-year-old trainee reporter. I'd never done anything at all before I picked up a microphone for Sky, and I got steamrolled at Vicarage Road probably about 12 years ago after a game they'd won. And I didn't know which end of the mic to hold. I wasn't quite sure what the hell I was doing down there. And he sensed it and just came straight through. And I honestly saw it as just a learning experience. I was probably ill-prepared, ill-equipped, and shouldn't have been there. He sensed that and just thought, I've got other things to be doing. But it was live on telly. And I remember being quite bruised by it at the time. But I'm sort of offering both sides of the coin. But Steve Diamond is a busy man with lots of other businesses, and he runs an event business as well. And I've hosted a few events for him at the time, and he's been absolutely charming and helpful and good feedback. And
he's in his element there.
But he's in his of course, which is why
he's just not been brought up with all of this.
No.
Certainly his playing career.
Yeah.
You know, when did his playing career end? Like end of 90s or something like that?
Yeah.
Sort of mid to end 90s.
97, 98,
like late 90s. And then his early coaching career. And then suddenly, it's a very, very important part of the business.
Yeah. But that's why I think it's so difficult to find a conclusion to this debate, because it is he said in terms of Diamond and Peters. And Diamond is protecting his players and running an organisation which is alpha males going out to physically dominate another team and win, and Peters is quite rightly highlighting an issue which is potentially leading parents to question whether their kids play rugby, and the two have very differing views of a sort of single point in the middle. I mean, do you think in some ways, do you think an element of bullying is required? A number of people in particularly in rugby, it is a physical sport where you have to stick your jaw out and go to work as an alpha male.
I think there's going to be a lot more on this. I'm not saying it's just because I'm a coach. Is the accusations of bullying in coaching now?
Yeah.
Cycling
as well.
Well, exactly. Shane Sutton. Well, I just read something today about Craig Bellamy at Swansea Academy. So young players accused him of bullying. And look, no one at all sort of wants any sort of bullying in any environment whatsoever. But again, from a coaching perspective, what's been done from their point of view to how they can manage that situation and also manage the accusations that have been thrown at them. Because at the moment it's very much the players, right, all they've got to do is mention that. Journalists mentioned that, but the players back him up, it's fine. But, one player mentioned disgruntled player, that's all it takes. Everyone else can be perfectly happy. And suddenly that's what you're labelled as. And I think, that's a delicate balance you've got to get right in the coaching world.
Particularly when you're dealing with a whole host of different characters.
Exactly. And sometimes it's just trying to push you as far as you can go, because ultimately why have you signed up to be a professional? Surely not just to sort of pick, well, some actually do just sign up to pick up the pay packet.
Name names?
I'm not sure if I can.
Next week,
yeah, but they do. They just love the fact of being a professional rugby player, which is something I struggled with.
Did you play with players like that?
Oh yeah.
Did you call them out?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
So that's quite old school. Did you do an arm around their shoulder, or did you?
No. I called them out when I was a player.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Much more
as
soon as it came, it's usually a sort of second, third, fourth choices who tear it up in training. Because obviously the first choices are looking after themselves, and they now come in, it's semi-contact, come a little bit harder, 75, 100%. All right, mate, Tarzan in training sort of thing.
Play like Jane.
And in the gym, not too bad in the gym and all that, smashing the fitness test because they're fresh, they haven't had the knocks and everything, might have played a few A-League games. And then when it comes on, right, first choice is injured. Right, your chance now. Oh, my back. Pull up with the back. Yeah, genuinely. Come over, pull up with back injury, or suddenly, where's this hard man in training gone when they're actually playing the game?
Anyway, I was trying to think.
That's what I just couldn't get my head around it. I said, surely you want to be there on a Saturday. that's why you signed up for this, not because. Well, I'm thinking the reason is I'm going to look good in front of my mates here because I'm cock of the walk at school. I'm in the academy at school, maybe a bit of England under 20s or whichever country you represent, and. When push comes to shove, it's actually about just being, I'm a professional rugby player, saying I'm a professional rugby player, I play for Harlequins or I play for whoever.
Wearing the badge.
Yeah, instead of actually I want to be out there competing, winning a game, being with my teammates and enjoying it. I mean, look, it's a small number.
Yeah.
But there is a number out there like that.
You're just scrolling quids number 8.
I'm trying to go through the academy and the exactly.
It was at school. It's like a quiz. It was at school. Quids number 8. Rob Shaw.
You're watching the House of Rugby on Joe. Together with Guinness.
I want to ask you this one last question about the media. 35 grand down the bog. Did you feel sold out then? To just put some context on it, this is post 2011, and there was a massive sort of, as there is every time England go out of a World Cup, a massive blow up expose, and somebody leaked their. You all filled in questionnaires, didn't you?
Yeah.
It's a report.
And somebody wrote in there that you came into the changing room after the France defeat quarterfinal and said, well, that's 35 grand down the loo. Is that true or not?
Well, I probably said that. And I'll tell you a number of other... Well, we talk about the Australia game. Mark Regan's walking around with Matt Stevens going, 16 bags after we won it. That's 16 bag bonus for going through to the next round. And no one thinks 2 seconds of it. Players before that France game are going, we've got to win this, Minty, it's 35 grand on it, But that's not your motivations when you're out there at all. I mean, it's the most pathetic thing. The most disappointing thing about that is it was actually Ian Stafford that phoned me up and asked me about it. I said, I never came in there and said it in front of everyone there. It would have been sort of in the corner or whatever like that. Gallows humour, very facetious. Look, absolutely as disappointed as everyone else. Going out in a quarter final. You're there. It's an hour. It's probably an hour or hour and a half down. In the changing rooms, maybe showered, maybe still in your kit or whatever. Disappointment, just chatting away, flipping hell, about this, that, as you do when you lose big games and you're out of the tournament. And would have said it to someone who I know that understood the facetiousness of the remark, and I'm just disappointed that whoever overheard it, or heard it,
do you know who leaked it?
No, I don't. But
do you care?
Not really, not now. It's so. But I'm just thinking. Hold on a second.
Do you want me to tell you?
Actually think it's a go on, tell me. Who was it?
If only I knew.
And I'm just disappointed they thought, one, it was worth mentioning in there, but two, whether it was my motivation or not, and I can tell you it's not.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me, that is not my motivation. But it's like, well, you know what, lads, it's done. We've lost the game. We've lost the game. It was mentioned. Say something like that. I can't remember saying it afterwards. And as I said, if I did, it would have been teammate, and someone might have overheard it. But I just thought it was just a storm in a teacup like everyone else. And, you know, everyone looks for little things to blame, don't they, when things aren't going well.
So that was a bit of a shitstorm post-2011. 2015, obviously, was an almighty one. I mean, I know you didn't carry the candle, but can you just explain what it's like to be caught in that, where the press just are gunning for everything? And obviously you would have had an arm around Chris Robshaw, I imagine, in the aftermath of that.
Yeah. It was tough. It was tough on him. And the thing is with those reports is you could have done exactly the same with the All Blacks, who won both World Cups, and you had 15 happy players and 15 disgruntled players. And they said a coaching shit, or you know, we didn't get this right, or that's, you know, we shouldn't have gone on that social, or whatever it was. You know, if you'd interviewed them, there's always, you know, the guys that are playing and starting usually generally pretty happy. Yeah. The rest of the guys, the ones that, you know, their remarks going to get pulled out. Yeah.
Take on the chin and move on.
Exactly, take on the chin, mate. There's other sides that are, you know, on the day they turn up, they're better than you, and that's it.
You can see that meme flying around afterwards going, too soon?
What's that?
The too soon comment.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
I like it.
I know exactly what you mean.
Oh, mate. Well, I wouldn't have, I'm doubting whether I said 35k as well, because after tax it would have been something like 20 grand.
To net.
Like exactly. And
27,
with my mathematical mind,
net,
I would have made sure
exactly.
that I got the precise details right.
Very interesting thoughts. Do you know, I'm actually going to, I think, we've gone over there, so I'm going to leave the player welfare bit, particularly around Mike Brown. Just very quickly on that. Did you see the Mike Brown thing where he landed on his neck and back the weekend?
I did. That's when Josh Bassett failed to jump. My take on it is, I think they're making strides in player welfare, and it's more about distracting away from Dave Ward's yellow card at the time. I think it was much more of a tactical team thing.
That is a strong
accusation of spitting. I don't think he spat on him. You know.
You know better than most.
The thing is with Wardy, we've always carried umbrellas around because he spits when he talks anyway. So it just it looked bad, but I don't think he meant. Well, I don't think he spat on him. Full stop. You know, he's got a ban, and rightly so. Bit of a cheap shot, but I think it was probably part of a plan. I'm not saying it was, but my guess is let's divert attention away from that to we're the victim sort of thing.
Political. You old cynic.
What do you reckon?
You've been watching the thick of it. There's a spin coming.
I hadn't gone there, but it takes one to know one, is what I would say.
You got all the tricks.
You've made a good point. Okay, we'll come back to that, because what I do want to ask you about is your South Africa experience. Before we get into obviously your time with the Sharks, what is your connection with South Africa? Were you born there?
No, my mum's South African. Mum's South African. Never knew him, but my great-granddad was a Springbok. Came on the first tour in 1905-06. Couple of caps, Wales and England, I think.
Wow. Have you still got those in the family, in the attic?
Yeah, some books and everything, and I've had a lot of Quins fans actually send me through stuff.
Really?
The hardcore.
So your mum's son, what was his name?
LaRue. He was Peter LaRue.
Really?
So a very popular South African.
Yeah. Yes.
I've had family out there. There's none there at the moment.
Where are they based?
Well, there's none there at the moment. They've all gone over to America. It's her three sisters. Obviously, my grandparent, not obviously, but her mum and dad are now no longer with us. There are second cousins out there. I did a year in Cape Town before I went professional as well.
Yeah. Playing?
Yeah, playing and teaching. So I went out there to teach and then started playing, and that's actually when I realised, I was playing club rugby and played a couple of games for Western Province A with, Springboks and Super Rugby players. I went, actually,
Who was in the team? Who was in the team that you were when you were down at Province that we'd have known? De Villiers?
But no, he wasn't around then. This is 2000.
Bobo.
Remember? Yeah. Well, he had just come out of school. He was actually at the school that I taught at.
Was AJ Venter Province then?
No, he was at the Sharks then. He was at the Sharks. So you had people like Rousseau.
Danny Rousseau?
Chris Rousseau. Peter Rousseau, remember the winger?
Yes.
Yeah. Those guys down there. Brian van Straten, the fly half, remember him? Stewie Abbott was about then.
Yes.
As well, before he came over. Stewie Abbott. Which locks? Who were the locks there? No, Tay Stoltz. So you don't think you would remember him. Robbie Kempson.
Yeah.
The
prop.
Yeah.
Robbie Fleck.
Robbie Fleck. Yes, Robbie Fleck was down there.
Skinstad, was he around?
He was injured that year because he had done his knee.
Yeah.
Because it was after the '99 World Cup, wasn't it? So. Did he go in the '99 World Cup? He had a bumpy year the year before. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think he must have.
He was the super sub. He was the original super sub.
He dominated Super Rugby the year before and then had that accident with his knee.
Yeah, he did.
And he was recovering throughout that entire time.
He's like a lot of South Africans now in southwest London.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Drinking in Putney. So how did you end up at the Sharks?
So I had arranged to do some continued professional development, which you can do in any sort of occupation. And in rugby, it basically, Harlequins send you down. Other clubs do this. Plenty of clubs do this, and it's usually to the Southern Hemisphere to basically go down there, observe, fact find, see how things operate.
Did you organise this while you were at Quins?
Yeah. So this is all organised, signed off last February at Quins to do a week down there at the end of June. A couple of weeks before then. Was when I, parted ways with Harlequins, but they fulfilled their obligation to send me down there and everything. So went down there, did a week with them, came back. We were still, sorting out the finer details of the severance at Harlequins. And during that time, it couldn't have been worse timing in terms of, everyone's in pre-season around the Premiership and everything, in terms of where there might be coaching opportunities. I just thought, well, actually, I'll go on really well with them down there. Yeah. They've got a Curry Cup coming up. I just pinged them an email and said, how do you fancy, me joining your coaching staff? I said, look, I'll come over. If I'm really crap, you can just let me do the warm-up. If I'm even worse than that, I'll just bring the water on. There's no risk for you is basically what I'm saying. And absolutely loved it. Yeah, no, they embraced it straight away. Got it signed off. Gary Teichmann, the CEO, said, yeah, fine, no problem. And
so what did you end up doing?
So I was doing the
cutting the oranges.
No, wall balls. That's old school.
Clean the tyres.
Well, mate, I'm old school. I don't think they should have water. I think they should have oranges. You're right. But I did the forwards. I was the forwards, and some of the attack I was doing as well. And
how different a perspective has it given you on coaching the game in South Africa? Was it an amazing learning experience? It was learning because I was also breakdown as well. So there was many breakdown and forwards, and there were certain subtleties, differences, and it was interesting because I think a month into that, sort of observing how they were doing things, and then the Premiership starts, and you like to sort of compare and contrast. Obviously, I know from playing in it, but live comparing notes and the type of games and everything. And look, you've got over there. Rugby's in really rude health up here. Yeah. Let's get that correct. Northern Hemisphere's never been so strong. This Six Nations is, the strongest Six Nations is ever going to be. Yeah. But there's certain things that are just inbuilt down there, and that is just being bone hard aggressive at a really low body height, which sounds, there's no rocket science to it. But every single one of them, the wingers, the fullbacks, the scrum halves, I go down there and coach breakdown. They're coaching me to breakdown. They do this, like this, and the other thing is they've just got it in. South Africans, they've always been like this. I remember, and this is another thing that sort of got my goat a little bit when I in coaching is when the game came on a Saturday. YP, sometimes you've got to poke the bear. As a group sometimes, but once in a while because it. Soon becomes saturated. What do you mean? An inspirational team talk, whatever like that. But that's got to be like once every 2-3 months if you need that. But it's up to the individual to have the fire in his belly and everything to go out there. And they've all got that. Joe Worsley brought his Bordeaux side over for a pre-season friendly like this, and I thought, well, they're going to be big, fat, lumpy Frenchmen on the, on the baguettes and everything. And they came down. They were like that. I know it was a pre-season game, and it started raining, so the French had no interest at all. And our lads were sort of like not laughing and joking, but chilled out in the change rooms like this. And in the warm-up, I'm sort of thinking, I think we need to ramp this up, but I'll just see how it goes. They're blasting everything because they just love it. They don't need anyone to sort of,
give them a clip round the ear or whatever, to sort of get them up for it. It's just natural in them.
Wow.
Which is in top players, all the English top players exactly the same, the Irish, all that sort of stuff. But I just saw it across the board. But that runs deeper in South Africa. I saw that across the board. The under-19s, the under-21s there. They just, exactly. They just, rugby is still huge over there. Yeah. Massive, massive. I mean, I know there's more that play football and everything, but it is still really the national sport. And, it's just trained into them from a young age. That to run hard, hit things hard. Sometimes not the brightest thing to do because there's a lot of space on the field that they sometimes ignore. And you see that with the national team quite a lot. But in terms of you being concerned, are they actually their headspace in the right? Is their head in the right space? To basically be as physical as possible, which is what you need in rugby. It's like you put that to a side. That's a guarantee every single week.
How well do they celebrate? Because you obviously won the Currie Cup. Talk us first of all through the run to the victory and how hard they go at it afterwards.
Yeah, we had a few good socials during the time as well. Good. Well, no, throughout the group stages, a few midweekers. We had a couple of bye weeks, which helped. They changed the sort of format, so we just played each other once in a round robin. Yeah. So it was a real sort of sprint. Yeah. And you couldn't slip up. Semi-final, won the semi-final. I was like, lads, because the final was away in Cape Town, and I was like, well, we've got to have a night out in Durban, surely. Because we're not going to be able to celebrate this.
Of the coaching staff leading them out into the town.
Well, and it didn't even need sort of second offering. They were there partying hard, and again, it comes back to that. You've got to celebrate at the time. You've also got to be professional. So a lot of the guys, they make sure they're in bed before 2.
Good.
And then the rest of us
hooked
before
up to
4.
A trip.
And we'd been down, and our only game actually we lost quite heavily down Western Province in the group stages, and we got a lot wrong in the build up, and we corrected a lot of stuff, and I just knew we'd win. We've been in that situation so many times where forget about the mentality of the opposition and everything, but you're the second favourites, they're at home. And the previous year, it happened the other way round. They'd beat the Sharks at home. Yeah. Just couldn't deal with the pressure of a home final, all the expectations. And I think actually in the Currie Cup, I think of the last 8 finals, 7 have been won by the away team. It's mad.
Yes.
And we went down there, and some of the coaching staff, we trekked up Table Mountain in the morning. Yeah. Nice bit of a workout. Work up a bit of a thirst for later on.
There's a bar on top.
Wonderful views.
Of course.
Up there. It's hard work. I'm not sure if you've ever done it. I've been up by cable car.
Oh, have you?
Even my year there. I only went up via cable car. But we walked up there, the Lion's Head. And it's harder walking down. Because you just want it. You've done the main bit. You're making progress. Yeah. You've reached the pinnacle or whatever it is. You've achieved your target.
Yeah.
And then you've got to get down there, and it's tricky getting down. There's snakes you've got to watch out for, and you're a long way from any sort of medical attention when you're up there as well. And
Jesus,
you don't want to be wrong footing, and suddenly you're sliding down. You're much more likely to fall over, aren't you, when you're sort of launching
on the way
yourself,
down? Yeah, bad for the knees.
Off sort of rocks and what have you.
Can you not get the cable car down?
No, no. It's in a completely different part.
Your line said,
yeah, no, different part, and and then. We played a game, scrappy game. Boys won, dug deep, and celebrated pretty hard. I actually flew back. I had my antenatal class. My missus had antenatal class on a Monday night. I flew back on the Sunday. I was gutted because the boys then celebrated for another 2-3 days.
Really?
Yeah. They went out into the middle of the pitch at the Shark Tank in Durban.
Yeah.
Got the braai out. Naked braai or whatever.
And your missus wouldn't let you off the hook?
No.
Rolling around on a birthing ball?
No, she was very good, mate. She didn't cut. She came out for 10 days
really?
of my 2.5 months down there, yeah. Because of work. Nothing to do with her being due. Yeah. Because she had a really busy time at work into mid-October. Yeah. So she could take off was that. So, I had to... play the white knight when I got home, and she said, look, our antenatal start on a Monday, there's no way you're missing now. I'm not going there by myself. It was a couples one.
Oh, one of those.
So I said,
have you made lifelong friends?
So I said, okay, I'll stay.
Very good.
How noble.
Well done you.
There's a nightclub outside the stadium there, in the 80s or something. Right outside.
Well, in Newlands?
Yeah.
But I think they've knocked that down.
But
I remember there was still a few old haunts from when I was there for the village idiot and what have you.
I want to very, very quickly ask you about Quins. Is that done and dusted, left on a handshake, or pissed off and bitter, or how do you look at them now? It's a big boys' game. I know you've said that in the past.
It is, isn't it? And for me to become the best coach I can be, I needed to get out of there because I love the club. It's still my club, you know. It's in my heart. I played. How long did I play for? 12, 13 years. Coach for 2. That's a long time in that environment, and just to see, coach other players that you haven't played with, be in another environment, see how things are done. I think that's right. It doesn't matter where you come from. Even if you're in a successful environment, sometimes what works for that place and those people might not work for another group of people or in another sort of culture, if you like. I mean, that was the interesting thing, the culture thing over there. And it runs deeper than everyone talks about culture and getting the environment right and all that sort of stuff, and what is culture and the behaviours of people and driving it from the top all the way down and all the setting standards. And that's how I knew it. But then I get over there, and I'm speaking to Chili Boy Ralapele is our hooker. He's been around a long time. Zulu.
He's had some ups and downs.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, from Zulu background, and he's talking to me on the flight back, actually, when we lost to Province in the group stages, and I'm sort of doing my analysis of the game. He's sort of looking and goes, people need to speak to each other with more respect in this team. I don't think. I was like, all right, listen, what do you mean? And he goes, well, someone's telling me to get round the corner, and they're basically saying, Chili, fucking get round the corner, fucking come here, come again. I was like, that happens all the time. Surely that's all right. And he goes, no, not in my culture. You never swear in my culture. You can't. So I'm saying, so if it was, another culture or whatever.
Please, like will you get around the corner and stand in guard position?
Like you can say that to him, but to you got to think, I can't say that to him. So I had to sort of mediate this with him and say, listen, but you got to understand, mate. He's doing that because he desperately needs your help in a high-pressured, split-second situation. This isn't, you've overthrown a line out, and then you're walking to the next scrum, and he said, you're a fucking twat, you've overthrown a line out. That's slightly different. This is a high-pressure situation.
I see you wandering around the stoop issuing a few of those back in the day.
But people make mistakes and everything, but as far as that's concerned, he needs you. I said, he needs you, Chili. Do you understand that? He goes, yeah, I do understand that, but maybe. And so we had to sort of have a meeting about that. And that's highly delicate compared to people who say there's cultural issues in the game up here sometimes in certain environments and everything. When you're dealing with that, that's highly complicated.
Nick, he's to the mediator. Stick it on the CV.
Well, not really.
Very exciting, and I hope that all comes together. We shall watch with great interest.
Yeah, thank you.
Just very quickly, I just want to pick up with you on when we were talking about parties and going out and celebrating the Rob Baxter line that their Christmas party obviously dragged on a bit too long. And he feels the mental aspect wasn't right, and therefore they lost to Saints. Is that not his responsibility, or is it in this day and age?
All you ever hear about Exeter
responsible for the players? What?
They're on the gas all the time. That's part of why they've got such a good team atmosphere.
He sort of drives it most of the time to see the team bus home.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a 6-day turnaround, so they played Saturday, hammered Sarries at home. Fair play, you celebrate. Why not? You don't do that often. And then, Friday night turnaround, so probably drove up Thursday to Northampton, and fair play. He said it was an attitude thing, which is why he's a bit annoyed. But again, probably a little bit of deflection. I'm going to write this one off, lads. We'll put it down to a party going on for too long. That's kind of saying, my bad. Yeah. What's next? And that's what you want from your DOR sometimes, just to step up and say, I'll take this hit, fellas.
That's teed up very nicely, this week's Guinness Perfect Pour. Do you know what the Guinness Perfect Pour is?
No, I don't.
So the Guinness Perfect Pour is a weekly test that we run on the show each week, and it's 119.5 seconds, because that is how long it takes to pour the perfect pint of Guinness.
Oh, is it?
You'd know that. I'm sorry we haven't got pints this week. Normally we do.
Well, I was about to say.
Well, I say normally. We have, for the first time last week, we had our pints, and it got going. Haskell took his down in 3 seconds, and the show sort of unravelled from that point.
Yeah, he got some good lines after that, didn't he?
I'm being told by producers, is that honestly never again? I was joking, thank God for that. We're hopeful that we will have our perfect pints back at some point. But what we do is we normally ask Hask a selection of questions on a topic that he chooses, and he gets 99% of them wrong.
He chooses them?
Well, we've had to get to that because he's not very good. So this week, Nick, you are stepping up to the hot plate.
It wasn't on his wife he got them wrong, was it?
No. But Jesus, that's a very good topic, actually. That is a very... There we are. Let's make a note of that for next week.
That's next week.
You're all on the hot seat. You wrote a piece for The Mail about your honeymoon in Kenya and Zanzibar earlier this year. Do you want to confess at this point that you didn't write the article, or are you happy to go...
Of course I wrote it.
OK, good.
I don't know if I did, actually.
How much do you remember? The questions are all taken from your article. I'm sure your wife, Kerry, will be keeping score, and we're absolutely delighted with how many you know. Are you up to the challenge?
Yeah, go ahead.
How long was your flight to Kenya?
I know, 8 hours.
Correct. Already, you have a better...
answers.
Well, don't look at the answers. You flipping cheat, you are. You arrived in Nairobi and were met by what?
Concierge.
You can have that. It was a beaming driver. He drove you through the chaotic streets of Nairobi to where?
The House of Payne. No, not House of Payne. That's this, isn't it?
That's my abode.
The House of Wayne.
The House of Rugby. It was the House of Wayne.
It was the House of Wayne.
The House of Rugby, the House of Payne. It was the House of Wayne.
It was the House of
Wayne. You were
Wayne.
concentrating. How many bedrooms does the House of Wayne have?
Oh, I don't know about that. Not many. Not many. Superb place.
Superb place.
I don't know, 6.
11.
Is it 11?
So you can't have that. Your 4-poster bed was covered in what?
Is this
after, straight to the bar.
Is this in the morning after we've slept in it, or is it?
Sorry, after filthy animal.
The light out.
No, before, as you carried your bride over the threshold.
I don't know, something calling like rose petals, was it?
Too good. Yeah, very good here. What was the first thing you saw? I can't believe you answered that.
Well, what else would it be?
What was the first thing you saw when you landed in the Masai Mara?
No, wildebeest. Yeah.
No.
What? Wasn't it?
No. The first thing you saw was
the landing strip.
Steady.
You filthy animal. No, it was the Maasai warriors in tribal dress, apparently.
Oh, okay. Just
can hear them already clipping up which bits they're going to try and take out of this.
I didn't write that article then.
You didn't write that bit. You stayed at the Nibor tented camp next to which river?
Talik.
Very good. Very good, this. Who were the main residents of the river?
Oh, the hippos.
Very good. Yeah. What was the name of your private guide?
Jackson.
You did? Did you genuinely write this article?
Yeah.
I'm quite impressed.
Well, half of it.
Half. Had a quick phono. What animal gave you the
reason
fear?
I know those last few questions, though, is I heard off Jackson on WhatsApp at Christmas. Oh. So that's...
Saying when you're coming back out?
No. He's just saying how things are. He's a good guy. He's a top man.
Was he?
And the Talik River and the hippos and Nibor camp and everything, actually, we had a mate of mine was asking, where were you the other day? I had to Google it and look it up. So if you'd asked me this probably a couple of weeks ago, wouldn't have known it.
Which animal gave you the fear?
Gave me the?
Fear. You definitely had switched off by this point.
No, the lion, isn't it? Yeah.
Why?
Because I tried to climb out of the top of the...
Is that the one thing truck. They tell you not to do?
They tell you not to do that. And we found his brother, and his brother was chomping on a wildebeest. They're always in brothers, like lions.
Are they?
You know, yeah. There was 2 brothers wandering around, look after each other. And there was hyenas sniffing around, and we saw him, he was finishing, he was right by, got really, really close to him. Then he just went on a nice little walk, and then Jackson, our tour guide, goes, he's trying to find his other brother, let's just let him walk ahead, and then we'll go and try and find him. We went, did a big circle, and then we saw him sleeping. And the brother was sort of, I don't know, maybe 30 yards away, and I just wanted them both to interact. So I wanted to check where the brother was.
You used yourself as bait.
Yeah, so I just wanted to check where the brother was. He was just over a hill. So I sort of climbed up, over the sort of the metal top of the truck. And as soon as I did that, the one that was sleeping just jumped up, dagger eyes, biggest roar I'd ever heard, started approaching the vehicle. I just froze like that. My missus was laughing, actually. I don't know why, because he'd have torn
insurance job.
Yeah. And Jackson just goes, just get down very, very slowly, very, very slowly. Get down. He's still approaching. Just get down, get down, get down. And then eventually, sort of about 2 minutes later, he calmed down and went back to sleep. But it's because they're used to the shape of the vehicle, you see. So they're fine with the vehicle driving around and everything, you sticking your head out or, a face being in there. But as soon as you get out of the shape of the vehicle, that's when they go nuts.
How fast was the ticker going?
Oh, pretty quick. But I knew, to be honest, the guide was lower down than me, so he would have been the first one to go, and I think the lion would have been sated by that, so we would have been all right.
Paul Jackson, did you say, sorry, Miss Jackson?
No, he was fine by that. Gave him a bit of a thrill. He doesn't usually get that.
Why's Pumba just popped up?
He just gets retired, sort of, you know, Florida Keys or whatever. Americans coming over with their massive sort of 7-foot zoom lenses
and shotgun.
Let's hope it's only that.
Pausing, taking photos of wild dogs for about 3 hours. He gets a bit of an excitement.
Well done you, teasing the lines. You wrote the following, fill in the missing word. We spent time watching giraffes eating from the tops of the trees, hyenas scavenging for leftovers, and enormous buffaloes. Blank buffaloes.
Bull buffaloes.
Cantankerous.
Oh, really?
Did you write that?
It's over 5 letters.
Yeah, true that. Good on Scrabble. What does cantankerous mean? If you
Grumpy, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty good, yeah. Give me that. How many nights did you spend in Zanzibar?
5.
Good. Would James Haskell have made the flight, or would he have forgotten his passport? Which is obviously a sort of play on the fact that he's failed to make it to his own show.
He definitely made the flight.
Because it's unmissable.
But forgotten the passport. But, you know, look, he's got the chat, hasn't he? He can get
the gift of the
game. Exactly. He would have taught customs into
Apparently he's texted while we've been recording this to say, are they going lightly on me? So anything you'd like to knife him with just before we finish?
I'd like to try and end this debate about the day snoring.
Yes!
Which is interesting, although hearing Nick deflate a few times today, I'm not quite sure if it will be proven. But there is
something about big men, obviously.
Yeah.
We have a thing on this show where half our listeners and viewers think that Tyndall's nose sort of toot sweets and he's sort of whistling out of it, and the other thing that Haskell sort of nods off and heavy breathes, and we're yet really to solve the mystery.
Well, Haskell has a horrible intake, so he'll make a point, talk really quickly, then go
yeah,
which I would never normally hide. Yeah, it's not a good thing to mention on an audio platform, but his breathing is horrific, second only to probably Tyndall.
Quick, just producer side, just how clean have we been this week? Very clean.
Excellent.
Therefore you may come again. Will you come back? I mean, obviously, if
no problem.
If the Sharks thing, well, hopefully the Sharks thing will come through, but if not, we'll dial in.
I literally just clocked
do
now.
a live one.
We've been talking about Steve Diamond, and you are getting the muckiest look from him, and have been all show.
I've had a few of those in the past, actually.
Yeah, he's probably going
hopefully we've discussed.
Is that to remind you of your topics?
Well, it's just a sort of. We've had Ellis Genge in there, we've had Haskell in there naked. We'll have you in there, actually, if you get your Sharks job.
Yeah.
It's just sort of, the main man. Haskell we have to put on the table because it's written in his contract that he has to have image rights of some sort that need to be paid out. The most hopeless talkback thing this week. Thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
Was it enjoyable? You enjoyed got a few things off your chest?
Always a good thing to chat rugby.
Yeah, good man. Just before we go, thank you for watching, as always. Thank you for listening as well to the House of Rugby YouTube and podcast show. Do leave us a review. And thank you actually very much indeed to all of you who've been piling in off the back of our Boxing Day special. We had quite a bit of fun with that, actually, but certainly seems to be a fair amount of abuse directed at Tins and Hask off the back of it. You can also download some of Joe's other programming, should you wish to do that. You might have missed Unfiltered with James O'Brien, or perhaps Boys Don't Cry with Russell Kane. Both really good listens, and do get involved if you would like to. Thank you once again to Nick and to Rob. Hopefully we'll see both of you again soon. Happy New Year. Hask will hopefully be back next week, assuming he remembers, of course. We certainly will be. And Ben Ryan is back for part 2 as well, who had wonderful feedback off the back of coming in a couple of weeks ago, so we'll get stuck into Ben's story next week. Have a good 7 days in the meantime, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye for now.
You've been watching the House of Rugby on Joe, together with Guinness. Drink responsibly. Visit drinkaware.co.uk for the facts.